U.S., though, companies are protesting President Trump's immigration ban. Nearly 100 companies, including Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, filing an amicus brief voicing opposition to Trump's immigration order. They say it is discriminatory and has a negative impact on their business. Joining us right now is Route 9B Chairman Joe Grano. Joe, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you.
So, you know, it's interesting. Many employees of these technology companies, they're not U.S. citizens. So that's where the upset comes. What do you make of these companies getting into the fray?
Well, they're also peppered with millennials, younger people in the workforce. And I think their culture is that technology and technologists therein have no borders. And I think that's the culture you're dealing with, particularly in California. I mean, it's very liberal.
How do you think it plays out?
Well, we have to find out if the president exceeded his authority from a constitutional perspective. I think he's moving too quickly, in my opinion. He's trying to fit 100 days into 100 hours. And I think he's not socializing some of the things he wants to get done, not even with his own agencies. So I think the execution exacerbated this issue, and some of it could have been avoided if he went a little bit slower.
And that's what Dagan said from the get-go, that regardless of whether you like this or not, the execution was bungled.
It was bungled. With this immigration order, it was sloppy.
DHS, TSA.
But it's to your point, it's the messaging of it.
That's correct.
It's just, he's such a great communicator. It's kind of odd that the travel order was not communicated to the American people in a way. And they talk about the timing, the need to surprise it on people coming into this country, but then you could have stood up in front of the American people and said, this is why we're doing it, and explain it in a way that everybody would get on board with it. And that might have gone, at least, I don't know if that would change Silicon Valley's attitude about even him as president.
If this is going so poorly, though, you would see maybe some reaction in the market. The market is up around 20,000 and near records. What's your assessment?
Well,
you used to run Paine Webber. How is the market's vote on the president looking?
I would suggest to you that the markets had momentum, and with his election, it also had more momentum. But is it sustainable? I think there's event risk at a higher level today because of President Trump. If I were advising him, if I had his ear, I would say, look, Mr. President, you are the most powerful man in the world. When you wave your hand, the dominoes fall. You need to understand that. And if you continue your modus operandi, you're going to create some event risk, which in turn will impact negatively the market. I think the market, more likely than not, is going to see a correction of nominal size, 10 to 20%. That's what I think.
What's the event that you worry about?
Well, I think he can create an international incident. When you see the way he's acting and talking, whether it be the president of Australia or whoever, it's almost like you don't know. He's very glib.
He's very unpredictable.
I think that he has picked, on balance, a very good cabinet, but a couple of people around him scare the hell out of me. And, you know, it's almost like the last person he listened to.
See, I don't disagree that a sell-off is coming. However, I think it's going to be met with massive buying opportunity. I think people are going to see the market down, whatever, 300 points, and people are going to be, because of the overall fundamental backdrop of earnings getting better.
Well, historically, that is the case.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I don't disagree. I think
the eye you have to look at is that most of the firms, 70% of the reporting firms, hit their earnings target. But they did not hit their revenue target. That is not sustainable. So how did they hit the earnings target? Well, zero cost of money, and the fact that you had buybacks of the stock, which increases EPS, and foreign investing, which is a historical high.
This points to the whole issue about growth. The president wants to get 4% growth. We have companies not hitting their revenue targets because the economy is growing so slowly.
And by the way, his opinion on globalization, 35% of S&P earnings are outside the United States.
Right, right.
So that could be
but what about the financial